Torchlight 3 released another mainline patch, and unfortunately it contains a bunch of game-breaking bugs. A hotfix managed to fix a few, but Fazir's dungeon is still broken. Hey everyone, this is Thyworm, and today let's talk about Torchlight 3, in particular Fazir's dungeon. Enjoying action RPG content? Consider subscribing. Let's start by explaining Fazir's dungeon. Fazir's dungeon is the new endgame system in Torchlight 3, which basically combines existing mapworks systems and puts an element of choice in there with some modifiers. You start Fazir's dungeon by talking to an NPC, which gives you a new item for your fort, some sort of throne. Place it in your fort and you can interact with it, summon the genie, and at the bottom of the screen you see how far you've progressed through your run. Every challenge level, Fazir offers you 3 choices, 3 modifiers for that level. You can see which enemy and damage type you're facing, and you get a positive and negative modifier. The positive ones are usually regarding loot, the lucky modifiers, or pet damage, or relic cooldown, or something like that. The negative modifiers range from extra taps to poison clouds to nether portals. If you have arrived at the final challenge level of the series, you face a single boss fight with very similar modifiers. You pick your modifiers, a portal opens, and you are off to the races. And then the issues start piling up. I could complete my first 3 challenges, kill the boss, and that was all fine. However, in my second run there were severe game-breaking bugs. First, the monsters simply didn't drop enough items to progress to the boss. You see, you need to collect a certain number of items from killed monsters, and after you've done that, you gain access to the final boss room. However, the monsters didn't drop these items. The interesting thing is that this was an already known bug. It's very weird to me that they released Fazir's dungeon without fixing this bug first, as it clearly messes up several runs. I'm not exaggerating here, because I bricked 4 runs in succession because I couldn't get to the boss room. The second bug, another known issue, is that the boss simply doesn't spawn. That makes it very difficult to complete the level, in case you're wondering. The first bug, the quest item drop rate bug, received a hotfix with a workaround. The workaround is that they temporarily reduced the quest item requirement to 1 item instead of 8 or 12 or 20. So this morning I went in again, and then I got into the boss room and the boss didn't spawn. Yeah, okay. These 2 bugs combined have effectively made me stop trying this patch. I'm not frustrated by this, I'm merely disappointed. You can argue all you want that this is early access and whatnot, but what we see here are effectively the following turn of events. First, the mapworks system exists, and Fazir is basically mapworks plus a modifier. It is exactly the same structure, it is exactly the same quests, it's exactly the same bosses plus a modifier. Fazir is Mapworks 2.0, but for some reason Mapworks still exists. Then you have these known bugs that already prevented you from completing several Mapworks. And with Fazir being Mapworks, it's very logical that this would prevent you from completing Fazir's dungeon, which is exactly what happened. This is not some obscure bug that seeped through the cracks of QA, this is a known registered issue, and by simply applying logic, you could come to the conclusion that Fazir's dungeon would be game-breakingly bugged at the launch of the new patch. It's game-breaking because it stops your progression, right? I consider bugged shrines in the Monolith of Fate and Last Epoch game-breaking as well, as they effectively kill your run, just like these levels do. You could retry the level, sure, but that's not the point, is it? On top of this, since the last patch, the devs implemented the public test realm, and at least a few American players played this, as I saw their streams, and they faced these issues as well, obviously. Even if these bugs wouldn't be registered and known up front, which they were, simply playtesting the Fazir's dungeon for an hour would expose these bugs. These are glaringly obvious bugs. I think QA in games is way too easily blamed for some obscure issues that you honestly can't expect QA to discover, but this, this is so obvious that it's kind of painful it was released. And I'm aware that the PTR has resolved some bugs already, and I suppose it has some merit, but I can't understand why the PTR system wasn't able to have these bugs fixed before the patch became available in early access. It is just really weird and a little worrisome, right? Why launch a patch instead of just fixing it first? There's no rush, you would say, but maybe there is. Whatever the reason, it's not a good look, early access or not. Let's assume for a moment Fazir's dungeon would actually work as designed. I think it's then a fine system, but I would remove Mapworks because this is exactly the same thing, but more fun. There's something to choose, I got plenty of loot in the maps as well, there's a sense of progression, and I guess this system could keep you busy for a little bit. I would love to see map works and all the map drops that are related to map works, so the stuff in the contracts, removed and be replaced by map modifiers for Fazir's dungeon. I would love to gather fame, unlock map modifiers and be able to apply those to the maps that Fazir offers. That would tie in nicely, it would integrate nicely, and you get rid of two practically identical systems, because let's face it, Fazir's dungeon as a new system is hardly revolutionary. Just adding modifiers and a challenge level isn't enough to differentiate this from Mapworks. It's advertised as a new endgame system, and I'm sure by some definitions of new that is true, but it feels awfully similar to something we already have. For a first iteration though, it is pretty decent. If this is the finalized version of Fazir's dungeon, then it's not so great. A ton of tweaking and fixes was done in yet another impressive list, which I will link down below but will not discuss. Next week we're getting the new relic system. There will be a wipe as well. I'll be starting from scratch again, working my way through the campaign, and I will report on the new relic system after I get some hours in. I hope you enjoyed the video, ladies and gents. Thanks so much for watching and making it to the end. See you soon. Bye bye.